Aldrich, I have a confession to make.
One.
Remember that those thingies, those rectangles, reflective screen turns on. Sometimes fine. There's like a bunch of them in the back. Um, I think I mentioned to you. There's a thing called Twitter.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I might have been spending a lot more time there than I wanted originally.
Oh, dear Satan.
It's just,
What have you been up to?
look, that place just has it has an aura that just attracts me. There's this chaotic, just disgusting ambient into that whole site that is just I really know I shouldn't be there, but I can't stop. It's really hard. I've had some thralls.
Nathan,
Yes.
you had me at chaotic.
So, and that's basically the reason why they had to change the name to X.
I see. Certainly kept us entertained during the morning.
Oh yeah, the ritual. I totally forgot about that. So, what were we doing again?
We were doing it.
Oh right, it. We did the first part with the first chapter.
Yeah, we have the second chapter to go through still.
All right, let's go.
I hope these candles hold.
Oh yeah, actually we have to replace some of them. Anyway.
I have to admit though, if nothing else, it was worth it for that one video.
Right? Don't say it's I keep watching that. I can't stop watching that video.
I think I get it now.
The woman getting jumped on the street as a birthday party, a surprise birthday party. It's perfect.
I was not expecting it.
I wish people do that to me, you know? Like no, like
yeah. Unless any of the thralls has a driving license, I'm sorry.
yeah, you need a lot of planning to perform such an elaborate ruse. Anyway, it's chapter 2.
All right. So the movie picks up pretty much where we left off with the previous one. The losers they're having a conversation about a vision that Beverly had experienced while she was in the trance after seeing the deadlights. And when she says that she's seen all of us back at the house, at the cistern. And that's when they make the promise to come back if it ever happens. That we all know. They have an emotional piece, and we all know that Pennywise does come back 27 years later, which is when the movie picks back up.
There's an intro, or not an intro, but a scene at the beginning that is quite interesting because it sets up a premise that I hadn't expected. So, you know how, well, Pennywise's favorite victims are children, usually.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in this scene, it's around a theme park, carnival, sorry. And this gay couple gets harassed and assaulted by a group of teenagers. And one of them falls into the river. So he's like trying to swim back to shore. And when he looks to shore, we just see, because his vision is all blurry and stuff, we see just these two yellow eyes staring back at him, extending his hand. It's Pennywise. He's waiting for him at shore. And this establishes that not only does Pennywise like children, he also likes gay men. So that's a thing. Or at least they see.
The guy doesn't fall in the river. He's thrown into the river.
He's thrown into... Yes.
As a welcoming gift to Derry, I guess.
Yep.
Showing us how they treat outsiders. I'm not sure if I want to make a comment about Pennywise sexuality now.
I didn't mean it like that. I meant eating gays. That's what I meant.
You understand that the phrasing is not helping, right?
Just move on.
Okay. There's a bunch of balloons that do come out of the under the bridge after Pennywise does kill the one of the gay guys, as you were saying. Again, I'm terrible with names. I'm sorry if there's a name involved.
Actually, they are. Adrian Mellon, apparently. Actually, it's not that one. It's the other one. It doesn't have a name. Yeah.
Regardless, that is when Mike, again, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Mike. He's the guy that stayed in town, so he knows what's going on.
Yeah, he's investigating.
Yeah, and as soon as he sees the red balloon, he sees a graffiti on the bridge, he realizes that he needs to call everyone else. And so he starts emailing everyone, because apparently that's what they do now. Who's the writer?
Isn't it, Bill? Yeah, I think Bill's the writer. Richie's a comedian. He does stand-up. Beverly, I don't know what job she has. I think she's just a stay-home wife or something. Ben is what I believe nowadays people call the Sigma male. He's lonely, but not because of his appearance. Because he has changed completely.
Yeah. Puberty hit hard.
It's crazy. Like, when I saw Ben as an adult, I was like, wow. I did not know people could change this much.
Well, unless they're you.
Mortals, sorry. I didn't know mortals could change this much. Eddie is... What does Eddie do? I don't remember.
He's like a cab driver or something like that. No, not a cab, because I remember that his car is black. And cabs in New York are yellow. I think he's in New York. Like, he's in a big city.
Yeah, I don't remember where they are, but yeah, I literally don't remember what he does. I know Stanley...
I think he drives cars around.
I think so. It's not important. And Stanley, I think, is also like... I don't know what he does either. But we'll talk about Stanley later.
So Mike starts calling everyone on his cell phone. We can go ahead and talk about Stanley.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's like the last person he calls, and for a reason, as you were saying.
Oh, wait. I remember what's going on with Eddie. Was it Eddie? He's married to a woman that is played by the same actress that played his mom in the first movie. It's something like that. It's weird. Anyways,
I didn't pay attention to the credits.
Yeah, that's I only realized this after the fact.
Should have done my research a little bit better.
Yes, it's weird. Anyway, so Stanley.
Yes, he receives the call.
Right, because all of them like they react in different but similar ways. They all have, you know, the flashbacks, but you know, they made a promise to
They're all
Mike.
pretty incredulous.
Yeah.
At first, because they thought they would never have to go back.
Yeah, and it's interesting because that you see how quickly they change when they hear these news. You even notice that Bill, who has basically gotten cured of his stuttering, he begins to stutter again when he receives the call. It's very interesting. But Stanley, by far, is the one that reacts the worst. Not initially, if I remember correctly, he almost like doesn't react. Perhaps some kind of dissociation. He just says, yeah, I'll be there. And then he goes into the bathroom. And never leaves.
He's actually not the last person he calls. I remember now. He calls Beverly afterwards, who lives with some rich guy. Who?
Now he's toxic.
She receives the call in late hours of the night due to differences in time zones. Fuck, thank you. And of course, she starts immediately packing after the call is done. The husband reacts very badly to the way that she is leaving in the middle of the night to go back to her hometown to meet a guy named Mike.
All right. Yeah.
To your point, he
Extremely
is very
jealous.
Yeah. So things get physical until Bev fights back. She's able to make a run for it after knocking him out with a piece of furniture.
Leaves the ring on the stairs.
And after that, the movie cuts to what happened to Byers after the events 27 years ago.
Oh, he is. He's gone mad. He's in an asylum, and he sees a balloon, a red balloon, just gently floating outside the window. And
he is arrested for the murder of his father, a law officer. He is placed in a mental institution after that.
I don't actually remember exactly how this scene ends, but I remember him just laughing hysterically at the balloon.
Yeah. He climbs in the windows and starts acting like he's in a zoo behind the cages. It is interesting that on the TV, the patients are watching a Tom and Jerry cartoon where there's a piece of steak going down the drain. It's just a cool visual gag. But he is put back in his room where he finds the balloon that was accompanying him under the bed.
Right, yeah.
He pops it, finds a corpse of one of his old friends.
Like hands him a letter, isn't it?
Yeah, the first one that died. No, hands him the knife.
Hands him the knife. Yeah.
There is it's not a switchblade. It's a
one of those retractable ones.
Yeah, retractable knife. Thank you. So he's all caught up now. He's probably going to escape the asylum, right? In a few moments. Until the losers meet at a Chinese place. There's a big table settled for them. They're like on the VIP area where they can talk to each other. It's interesting because you mentioned earlier that Ben has changed a lot. When Beverly is arriving, she doesn't recognize Ben. And rightfully so, right? Because he's absolute punk.
Just imagine from Virgin to Giga Chat. That's the difference you're seeing.
Richie arrives, comments on how amazing they both look and how not amazing he looks because he's got the stand-up comedian look.
I like this scene when they're around the table and they're eating the fortune cookies, and it's so good because it starts out as a joke because of how fortune cookies
don't mean anything.
Yeah, the messages you get are meaningless.
No, I don't agree with that, first of all. Let me go off on a little tangent, just to say that it's all about the interpretation you give it. Everything has a meaning. Just have to read it in a certain way.
You need evidence, though.
No, I understand that correlation does not mean causation. That's not what I'm saying. It's more of seek and ye shall find.
Perhaps. But anyway, it's interesting how I think it's Eddie who is he opens the fortune cookie and he's like, this one just says cut or something like that. And they realize that each of the messages inside their fortune cookies, each one just say a single word. Until they read and they put the words on the table and they arrange it and it spells. I think it says, I guess Stanley could make the cut.
That's they arrive at that point because it's interesting how they we have this 30 minutes of exposition of where their lives are at the moment.
Yep.
And they're all adults, and until they meet and they revert back to the same dynamics that they had as kids.
Yeah. It's really interesting to see that.
And they mentioned that Stanley isn't there. Eventually, the fortune cookies do arrive and the message gets spelled out. But there is something else that happens at dinner that I think is interesting to mention. It's how Mike has been doing a lot of investigation on Pennywise. this guy is prepared. You know, he's been reading. He took his oath very seriously.
Yep. He was the one who called, so.
He brought books showing them drawings. It's just before the fortune cookies arrive.
Okay.
It's cool. It's cool. Just wanted to give a shout out to all librarians out there, essentially, because I think
Nice.
that's what he does on the TV version.
So yeah, things on the table begin to gain life and attack them. I remember they have like one of those vertical aquariums that they have in restaurants. They see, I believe it's decapitated heads and limbs floating in there. And they start, because the things are attacking them, they like grab chairs and start like banging the table with them. They're all having this vision, I guess. But then the because they are destroying the table, the waitress comes in and finds them, and they're kind of like caught. And I believe maybe the vision disappears at that moment or something because she doesn't see anything, and she just sees them like beating the air.
Yeah, Mike beating the table with the chair. I remember that. Yeah.
and they look and she's like, "Do you need anything?" And they're like, "The bill, please." Yeah, that was funny. I liked the humor in this movie.
It's interesting how 27 years for a mortal is enough for them to forget something and start fearing it again.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of influence from Pennywise, just a little push was enough to make these grown adults revert back to a prepubescent stage.
It's the power of trauma. It's very powerful.
That is the crux of this series, right?
Yeah, indeed. I believe this is when Beverly reveals to them that she had these visions, because she hadn't told them before. She had visions that they would die if they failed to fulfill the oath, and so because I guess the Richie and Eddie were like, whatever, just this. Like I'm out. I believe
that's when they know that Stanley died.
Right. Yeah.
It's interesting that he chose to say, "Cut it" when
cut it. Yeah, because
his method was.
Yeah.
There's a cool gag with the kid, but let's never mind that.
The kid at the
they're shouting at a kid. Richie shouts at a kid.
Oh. Wait, I don't remember what he says to the kid.
The kid is saying like the fun is just beginning. That technically it's a line that he says in his act.
Oh.
The kid was a fan, but he thought it was like something from Pennywise, because this is a kid approaching them saying the fun is just beginning, right?
Right.
And he just starts shouting, "I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you. You."
That's true.
The guy's like, "Man, I'm a fan. That's a line from your show." And are those your parents? Yeah. You want a picture?
Man, I didn't remember that, but that's funny. Yeah, then you have the scene with the little girl that gets
yeah, the firefly.
Yeah.
Pennywise needs to feed, needs to get his powers back and running, so yeah.
Yeah, so he decides to lure this little girl into a dark corner of
the bleachers.
Yeah.
At a baseball game.
Yep. And I like this scene because of what he, like, she reveals, I believe it was a scar or something that she had on her face, and Pennywise is like, because she doesn't have friends because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And Pennywise, for a brief moment, you see some empathy. It's really strange. He's like, I know what that's like, and but like I can be your friend, and it's his typical things of like luring.
Because the girl calls him scary.
Yeah,
you're not a friend. You're scary.
Yeah, but that was.
He builds some rapport with her.
It's very interesting, and of course she dies and eaten. But yeah, I believe the next scene, Mike then goes to show the rest, or specifically
No, the
Bill.
next scene is the asylum.
Oh, okay.
Henry is making his escape.
Oh, yes.
He killed at least one other inmate, and then the zombie friend is driving the car.
Oh, yeah.
Powered by Pennywise.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, level 3 spell slot goes a long way.
Okay, so my memory's actually failing right now.
Yes, then they do go back to the hotel, and she tells the truth about the vision, as you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
that they all die.
Yeah.
I do think though that Mike and Bill go to the library.
Yeah, that's it. Like they go to
school.
library and
Mhm.
but isn't the library like Mike's? I mean that's where he works at. Right?
He's living in the
He's living. Yeah,
in
he's
the attic.
literally living on the
I
library.
absolutely love what he did with the place, by the way. It's filled with books to the brim. It's like
Yep.
brick and wood. I hope that I couldn't use
Cozy.
fire in that house. See, yeah.
It's cozy.
I understand the need for light bulbs in that scenario, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and so this scene is interesting. Actually, this probably might be one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie, or the scene that follows this, because they're drinking something, and Bill starts feeling weird, and he's like, "What did you put in my drink?" And that's when he starts having very strong hallucinations, visions, and Mike explains him. It's interesting because it's like it's like a montage, but it's his hallucinations are the montage. It's really cool.
Yeah,
Love
I think
that.
they are, if I'm not mistaken,
Mike
let me.
going to the tribe.
Yeah, to a tribe. It is some sort of either mushroom or cacti. I think it's peyote.
Perhaps.
You don't get a very good look in the movie,
Mhm.
but it does start hallucinating about the great mythology in this universe. It goes like way beyond everything you could imagine, really.
Yep.
And they mentioned the turtle. They mentioned Maturin.
It's really cool that they mention the Native Americans. They mention how they've been dealing with this this entity for a long time. Perhaps
It goes by many names.
Yeah, perhaps it has been here forever, or at least for as long as humans have been in North America. And I love the transformation, how it has taken many forms. You see this form of like a Wendigo and the form of
There's a crow.
Yeah, there's like a crow with several with 3 eyes, which are the deadlights.
6 actually.
6.
There's 3 on each side. I don't remember anyway. It
but,
looks like
the
that.
deadlights are 3. I think.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's the form. That's its true form.
Yeah, I love that image of the screaming crow with those eyes. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and how there's a ritual which is called the ritual of Chud, that is ultimately what could end this entity, or at least
Contain it.
cast it away from this place, and that they had tried to do it. I believe, I don't know if this is established yet, that they've tried to do before and they failed.
The ritual?
Yes, the Native Americans. I mean, they have the ritual, so
I remember that in the vision, you see them containing it.
yeah, that's it.
I don't know if they were ever able to do it or
But there's
probably
a
it escaped because again.
right, because it's still here, so
Mhm.
clearly something went wrong.
Yeah.
And Mike also explains that the ritual of Chud requires them to each have an item, which is supposed to be the sacrifice, an item from their past. And yeah, obviously Bill is very upset that Mike drugged him.
But it was necessary.
I guess for him to believe him.
Sometimes truth is very limited by our perceptions, and once that veil is lifted, the possibilities are endless. I'm obviously not advocating that any of you try any of this stuff.
Don't do drugs, kids, or I'll kill you. Actually, maybe not.
Anyway, they go back to the place where they thought the cistern was, and they find that the house has been demolished, and there's only this is their
right, because there's a lot of flashbacks in this movie from when they were kids, deleted scenes from the first movie, I guess. I mean, they're probably not, but it looks like that. Yeah, because they built a house.
Underground bunker
in the woods.
They're trying to find an item from Stan.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny the transition that they pull off, because it seems like as soon as they drop in, they turn back into kids. But they're just explaining
Yep, it's very cool.
What that is. It's pretty cool. This is all post their meet. They've all this is all post the encounter with Pennywise. They've become very good friends, and they're all hanging out. This is their new hangout place.
Yeah, makes sense. Imagine being a kid and not being worried about getting eaten by a clown. That's anyway.
So they do get the shower caps as stand sacrifice, and everyone seems, not everyone, but they all have this kind of different reaction to finding their tokens, I guess. And it seems that it's not just any item, but an item in specific.
Yeah, it has to be a specific one
Yeah.
from their past.
Mhm.
Something that
It will invoke apparently a strong memory.
yes.
Beverly goes to her old house. That's the first one we see.
Yeah, it's now. Oh, right, because it's now owned by an old woman, an old lady.
Mhm.
And man, this lady is just. I love this lady. She is so creepy. First of all, her voice is weird.
Well, I want to say.
And she invites Beverly in, and they have a little chat.
After telling her that her father has passed away.
Right. Yes.
Something she apparently did not know.
I wonder why. The lady prepares some tea for both of them, and as they're talking, she says the phrase, "No one who dies ever really dies,"
She's not wrong.
and stares blankly with that grin towards Beverly.
Mhm.
Beverly's then looking at a painting as as the old lady is behind her doing something. I don't remember what she's looking for. But you see her like running out of focus naked behind her. And
That's true. That's true. I remember that.
yeah, and then looking at her really, it's like staring behind a corner at her. It's just, it's Pennywise at this point. And then, ultimately he does take on a form and a more monstrous form and attacks Beverly. Before she can get out of the place, she sees one last vision with. I still don't understand this one.
She's having a vision of a particular day in her teen years where it was her deceased mother's birthday. And father is crying his eyes out, reminiscing about how much he misses her and saying that he can still smell her perfume. After which he calls Beverly to him and sprays her and him with the perfume while sniffing something that I can only assume belongs to said deceased mother, while embracing his daughter and assuring her that he would never hurt her,
Well,
apologizing profusely for whatever happened or is about to happen.
yeah, I don't know.
I don't want to. We might be evil.
We have a black heart, but we still have a heart, It's like
Mhm.
no. I was mentioning another scene, another vision that happens right as she's trying to leave the door. She sees like another door open, and there's this man at a desk with a bunch of pictures of clowns, I believe. And this is the same man that we've seen in a couple of old pictures of. It's like Pennywise, but human, like without his makeup. It's very weird. He kind of like slashes his face with his nails, forming those lines that exist in Pennywise's face normally.
Mhm.
I still don't quite understand what this is supposed to mean, or
I assume that the old lady has always been Pennywise.
Yes.
Just messing with.
yes, but Vision specifically, like this man, was there's. I feel like there's story here we're not getting. I don't know.
Oh, about him pinning his face. I guess that's.
Like maybe Pennywise was a person originally.
This is not what it's saying because Pennywise is an interdimensional being. He took on the guise of this person in early days, is what I'm getting from this. That he had this Pennywise's traveling circus, or not
'Cause he
traveling,
must-
or whatever it was called.
He must have gotten his idea from someone. So
Yeah, he was a carny, and he got the idea from other carnies at the time.
when the American settlers arrived and brought circuses with them, I guess that's when Pennywise was like, "Ooh, I like this better than being a Wendigo or a giant bird or whatever.
Immortals have a saying, right? That you can attract more flies with than with vinegar. That's how the saying goes, right?
I never heard that saying before, but I don't hang out with immortals a lot, so
Me neither. I just happen to read their books from time to time. I guess nowadays people don't carry a lot of books.
right.
These hard black things called Kindles. I hate those.
Actually, I prefer a good physical book. I agree.
Nothing beats the smell of a good book. All right, but there is one last thing to mention in Beverly's house that she does find her token.
Yeah, true. It's the letter.
Postal card, yeah, the one that Ben wrote.
Yeah, she doesn't actually know it was written by Ben. Actually, I don't think she knows who wrote it at this point.
Yeah, she assumed that it was Bill.
No, because she thought it was Bill, but quickly in the first movie she thought it was Bill, but quickly realizes that it wasn't Bill because she like says something to him, and I believe he says like he doesn't like poetry or something like that. He doesn't like she says the line to him and he doesn't react, so she's confused because she thought it was Bill and it wasn't. But I think she knows
that
it
happens
wasn't
in the
Bill,
first movie.
but she still doesn't know it was Ben.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a good memory, and so she takes that.
Yeah, that's when all the stuff with Grandma happens. Richie goes to the old arcade.
Oh,
and
yeah.
has a vision of playing with Henry's cousin. They were playing Street Fighter, and he wins. Richie wins. Mm-hmm. So he invites the guy to play again. That's when Henry shows up, and the guy doesn't want to be seen with Richie because he wants to be seen with the nerd. And he gets humiliated. And I guess Richie discovers that his token is a literal token.
A coin, yeah. Quarter.
Yeah. He trips with the giant statue of Paul Bunyan or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, there's that as well.
That's when some kid throws up flyers for his own funeral, and that's when all hell breaks loose. Pennywise is on top of the statue. The entire town is looking at him, and Pennywise is just taunting him, saying like, asking him if you want to play truth or dare.
Isn't this the part where he says, "Is it Richie or is it?"
It's Richie that he says he knows his little secret.
Yeah, I know your secret. Something like that. Yeah.
Next is Bill. Yes, he sees.
Yeah, he goes to
his
the
old
drain.
Silverlight.
The storm drain. Wait,
the shot. There's still the scene at the store where he sees his old Silverlight. I don't know if you wanna.
Oh right.
I think it's interesting to mention, yes, because the store clerk is Stephen King.
Oh yeah. It's Stephen King has a cameo in this movie. That's a seal of approval.
Asks him to leave his store if he's going to swear that much, and he clearly recognized. I think this was a bit of a literal self insert, but like with the roles reversed.
Right, because he's talking about.
He recognizes him as the writer.
Right, and he does an interesting form of lamp shading. Which is he says to Bill, he asked if he liked the book and he says yeah, it was good but the ending sucked. I didn't like the ending, something like that. It's I like this. Anyway, I think this is when he goes to the storm drain at this point where he finds, I don't remember the exact details. I know Pennywise taunts him at this point.
Yeah, he's trying to ride his old bike, having a time of his life, feeling like a kid again. And he sees a little kid by his old house, I think, where he used to live. Sees a kid about the same age Georgie was, coming out to play with a skateboard, and that's what breaks him out of the illusion that he's no longer a kid. So he goes up to the drain. He screaming at the drain. Remember? Screaming at the drain, asking like, why him? That's when.
Right, yeah, and that's why when Pennywise shows up and starts like basically answering.
Does he?
Taunting him, because that's when he gets the. You see the hands of Georgie in the drain, and he's like Georgie, and he like it stretches his hand to try and grab him, and you get the flashback of the. And you see a bunch of little Georgie hands grabbing his hand, like climbing up his hand. It's really freaky imagery, and
He
then
hears
gets,
his voice, yeah.
yeah, and he gets the boat for some reason. He just gets it like this. Just doesn't make a lot of sense, but
Stay away from that drink, kid.
yeah. Then there's one with Ben, right? He goes to his
Ben goes to school, yeah.
yeah, he goes to the school. He has a flashback to when he was a kid, and he was watching something on a projector. Like he was alone in class. I don't remember what he was doing.
Everybody left
Yeah.
during, I think it was probably biology class, because it's a bug on the projector, on the slide.
And he's, I think, taking notes or something. And a shadow appears behind him, covering the projector.
That looks like Pennywise.
But it's revealed to be Beverly. And she, I believe, sits next to him or something. She starts talking to
she
him
lights up
in
a
a
cigarette
kind,
and sits next to him.
yeah, first being kind of friendly and talkative, and then starts insulting him. I don't remember what she like says, like who would date like a fat like you, something like that.
Because she holds his hand, and she's being very suggestive. And when he leans in for a kiss, she starts mocking him. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Saying very nasty things, and interestingly enough, as a reference to his poem, her hair catches fire.
Oh yeah.
There is a little nod to, well, in my opinion, this is a nod to Nightmare on Elm Street. There's I think it was probably the first movie to have like a locker scene.
Oh right, because he runs away. He obviously, because the Pennywise that was revealed to be Beverly is revealed to be Pennywise.
Very complicated stuff right here.
And he runs away. Pennywise chases him.
School is closed from the inside with lock and chain.
Oh yeah, very weird. And he goes hide in a locker, right?
Yeah.
But when he opens the locker,
he finds a note. I think it says like "look behind you" or something. And Pennywise is there inside.
Is inside the
he has to
locker.
run out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been here the whole time.
What was the token though? I don't remember. It was something in the locker, I think. I have no idea what the token was. Was it the turtle?
Hasn't showed up yet.
I know. Then we have a scene with Eddie, I believe.
Ben goes back to the hotel where he tries to. Beverly is talking about the poem and reminiscing on who she thinks it was that wrote the poem, of course. And Bill, like, she's talking with Ben about it, and Ben thinks that she's talking about him, that they had a very good relationship. And when she name drops Bill, Ben just changes, and he's about to tell her that he wrote the poem, but he's cut short because Richie shows up after his stuff. Then it's Eddie. Eddie is going to the pharmacy, having a very bad day with the clerk, who's feeding into his paranoia, if I remember correctly, right? Telling him that a mole on his face could be skin cancer.
Yeah, something like that.
And it's the same clerk from all the way back, right?
Yeah, and I think isn't the same girl like there as well, like
too.
grown up.
Yeah. The one that wrote Loser. On his...
He gets his little inhaler right from this part.
There's a flashback with him going to the basement of the pharmacy, where he finds like frogs in jars and blood bags and needles, broken needles everywhere. He's like feeding into all his fears, and he hears someone calling for his help, like apparently his mom, who is bound to
I remember
a
this.
bed.
Yeah.
She's saying that it's going to affect me. Please help me. Get me out of here. There's something on the other side. I think it's probably like a corpse or something that seems to be making its way to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or something like a leprous man. I don't know. It looks sickly.
Yeah, it's. I think it's the original leper from the first movie.
Oh yeah, the guy that. Yeah.
It's the same. It's the same guy.
He starts. He French kisses the mom while she screams. It's not a pretty sight. he finds himself back at an adult again at the same basement, meeting the same, attacked by the same homeless guy, and they struggle for a little while.
Oh yeah.
He tries to choke him, and the guy just absolutely vomits all over his face.
Oh yeah.
He panics getting out. He's made fun of by the girl again. But yeah, his token is is an Ailer.
I think that's all of them. All of the tokens, right? Or at least, I mean, we don't have one for Ben but or
Ben, not
Mike.
yet. I think not.
Mike also
No,
doesn't.
technically Ben already has his, but Mike still.
I think Mike only reveals his token
Yeah,
Mike,
later.
Mike already has it from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah, he knows. He knows. He's been here.
Yeah. Isn't this when they're attacked by Henry?
Bill and Bev are at the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about. I don't know. They're reminiscing about the past again. They're embracing, and they have a vision of their kiss, I think. Until like a skateboard drops with a message from Pennywise, blood floating and all of that, and he leaves. The gang is all panicky. The losers are all panicking, and yes, that is when Henry shows up, stabs Eddie in the face, blade through the cheek.
Yep. Ouch.
And Eddie stabs him back in the belly. Since Henry asked for his knife, he gave it back. Not before telling. I do like the joke. Telling him to cut the mullet because it's been 30 years.
Wow. Yeah.
So.
Because Bill was trying to save a kid.
Yeah, the kid that looked like his brother, that reminded him of his brother, and he follows him into the funhouse, which apparently is Pennywise's new method of getting to people.
Yeah.
Bill absolutely begs Pennywise not to do it. Pennywise starts banging his head against the glass to try to break it and reach the kid.
It's... Yeah. Pennywise is just taunting them so hard.
I mean, because he can.
Yeah.
Why
would he not?
Smile.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, the kids, we're not even sure if it's a vision or not, or if Pennywise allowed Bill to see it.
I think he did. I think Pennywise, because Pennywise wants to feed anyways. I'm pretty sure that Pennywise did it on purpose to like lure Bill just so he could see that, just so he could watch that. Because you can't traumatize people enough. You always gotta get some extra, in there. You
can always drive the knife a little further. In this case, not so far from what happened.
Yeah. Right. So now they have to face it.
I think Richie goes into. It's a cool moment where Richie goes into Stanley's old temple.
Oh.
And as reminds himself, I guess Stanley acted as a because his funeral was going to be held there, I think, or a memorial.
Oh yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that. Yes.
And he's reminiscing about how at his bar mitzvah, Stanley stood up to his dad, saying that I know I'm a loser. I will always be a loser. Essentially, that's what he leaves on. I'll always be a loser. Richie remembers this because he was present and thanks Stanley for showing up. That's when he gets like a renewed strength to carry on. Ben sees that Henry got out through the window, removed the knife from his chest. Apparently, now the knife was in the chest, and that's when he recognizes Henry as the kid who stabbed him in the belly and marked him with his initial. So Henry attacks Mike at the library. They struggle for a little while, and just as he's about to, as Henry gains the upper hand and is about to stab Mike, Richie shows up and saves the day by driving an axe into the back of Henry.
Oh yeah, indeed. just hack him away.
It's around the same time that the rest of the gang shows up, aside from Bill, who was down at the festival or
Oh yeah,
the carnival days.
trying to save the kid. Yes, that's when they go get him.
Yeah, they go grab the trap for the
Because they're
ritual
not
of food.
supposed to. Yep, and I think Bill still like wanting to. They all want to just get this over with.
Mhm. Bill's at the house already, at the whole house where the house where everything happened.
Yeah.
And the rest of the gang shows up. He starts stuttering again. They venture the house, and Pennywise is again toying with them. There's black ichor running down the stairs. There's the old cobwebs. They have to go down the basement, of course, because
Yep. They have to go that whole thing, the sewers and
we should have
all of those.
should have a
places.
basement counter.
There was a scene. I don't remember. No, it's further down. Never mind. They eventually get to this cave. I believe this is after they cross. In the first movie, Pennywise had fallen down a hole, and I believe they go down this. Like in this movie, they go down that hole.
Yeah,
because they get to like a cave. Really.
So.
Yeah, and
that is further because at this point, Pennywise again is having the time of his life, cutting, carving home at last in Ben's belly. He made Stanley show up as a corpse.
Oh yeah,
and a talking head that eventually turns into like a spider. He's pulling no stops. He has to scare adults, right? And he's got some time to feed already. He killed like at least 3 kids at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean at least,
despite
all the ones we didn't see. So yeah, at least 3. He's well fed. He's it's playtime, but at the same time, I believe he's also because he knows what they're about to do. He's also trying to make him turn back. Yeah, but he fails to do that, unfortunately, and they eventually get to that cave. And they find there's something in this cave. There's like an opening. There's like this big zone, and in the middle there's, I believe it's a meteor with like these spikes coming out of it. It's something very strange. It's something like that.
There's
it's remains of a meteor, something like that.
It's just junk that that's packed to around a hatch. It's his lair, I guess, the entrance to his lair, but it doesn't. Does it look like a meteor? Yeah.
No, I'm talking about like the actual like the part where they're gonna do the ritual.
Oh, right. That's already after.
That's what I'm talking about.
They went in. Yeah. It does look like it looks nothing like what they. Yeah, and it's straight up. So possibly, it's got the spikes and everything. Yeah, I remember that. It's all floating too. It wants to go back home.
Yeah.
It's probably very happy here. But yeah, that's where they do the ritual, yes.
And it's interesting because they do the thing. They, I believe, this is where it's recapped what their tokens are. So Beverly's the letter. Bill is the Georgie's boat. Richie's the inhaler. Right. Ben's. I don't remember what Ben's is.
Ben is a page from his yearbook.
Okay.
That was only signed by one person.
Oh, right. Yep. And
that's what he found on the locker. Yes, my bad. That's what he found on the locker.
Yeah, that's he did bring something.
He found it only like as metaphorically, I guess, because he carried that page for 27 years.
Right, he already had that page, so it was just like it was just him visit. It was just to look cool. It was just a cool flashback. He didn't really have to go to the school. It was just
he was looking for it. He wasn't sure. There, you got the confirmation.
Yeah. I don't remember what Mike's was.
A rock.
A rock?
It's the rock that Beverly used
Oh.
to hit Bowers to defend him.
Right. I don't know how he got that rock.
Yeah, man, he just knew it. After they all hold hands,
Because they're
it's interesting that the
putting
Go on.
putting all the items inside of the
lit trap,
lit, yeah, and then
they light it on fire.
light it on fire. Yep. And it's interesting that he's like when he puts the quarter, the others are like, it's not gonna burn.
And when he throws the rock, yeah, that's also not going to burn. Another thing that's not going to burn.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because it's symbolic.
Yeah. They hold hands and they do the chanting, right? You have to do.
Yeah,
something.
it's interesting because I wanted to mention that the cave, as I said before, it seems to go all the way up into the sky. But now when it finally lights up, it no longer looks like a cave, but it looks like the inside of Pennywise's mouth with several rows of teeth. It's actually vibrating, like it's swallowing something or is speaking as the dead lights are drawing down. So it's as if they're inside Pennywise himself performing this ritual.
It's all very symbolic, but the ritual doesn't work.
Ultimately fails.
It doesn't work. Yep. And
the lights do draw down and enter this trap, but
Pennywise shows up as his ultimate form. You could say his true form, perhaps.
a giant balloon.
Oh, right, because he does notice his giant balloon. But then there's the true form. We gotta mention the true form. I don't know when when it comes.
It's there. He's growing. He's already pretty big.
Yeah, because
and he's hiding between the cragged, spiked things. Whatever.
Yeah, and it's this giant spider thing, and starts attacking the losers, and they start running, obviously. And this is when Mike mentions that the natives that originally tried to do the ritual of Chud, they were all killed. It didn't work.
Yeah,
originally.
the fourth panel.
Yeah. It's kind of strange why Mike thought it was going to work with them. Maybe he thought they had because the items were better or something. I don't know. Yeah, then this is when we get the most amount of hallucinations and visions from all the losers. As they're running, there's just some insane visions. I believe Richie and I keep messing up the names as well.
Well, before that, then you wanted to mention Pennywise's form in here because the way that he goes about revealing himself is pretty cool. Like he's all monologuing about how he waited for this moment for 27 years, that he's going to essentially relish every minute of it, showing his form as a sort of spider with very sharp blades for hands. For legs,
something like that. Yeah.
While the dead lights are now out of the trap and no longer yellow-ish, but now blue. That's when all of them decide to run. Mike, I think, kind of accepts his death for a second, and they get split up. Yeah. To your point now about the hallucinations.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, Eddie and Richie are. They get back to that. A throwback to the first movie. The scene with the three doors.
The doors.
Yeah.
The doors. The not very scary. Not scary at all. Scary. Very scary. Ben and Bev were separated.
Oh, Ben and Bev are interested because Beverly is stuck at this is another throwback to the first movie. The bathroom is filling up with water, and Ben is sinking into the earth. And this is when Ben is forced to admit, and he basically declares himself to Beverly. And this is when the door of the bathroom opens, and Beverly reaches out and grabs Ben's hand, preventing him from sinking. So good for them, I guess. And then I don't remember the other ones, but
Ben is thrown into the bunker. Bill is in his basement.
Oh yeah,
looking at himself, talking to his brother, and I think he drowns his little brother.
There's something like that
in this vision.
Yes.
Bev it was not filling with water, I think, at least at the start.
I mean, it wasn't.
It starts with a bunch of men making references to her. not references, like disgusting comments
Hmm.
towards her, and then it starts filling with blood.
Yeah.
It's a cool parallel, as they can seem to be hearing each other through the hallucinations. He does read the poem to her. That's when she breaks through her door, which is his door. Things do get fucky, but not in that sense, not yet.
Oh yeah, they all manage to overcome their emotions and reunite back at the good old lair of Pennywise. And this time, right? Because I think it's Eddie. Wait, which one is the? Man, now I'm mixing up their names. Which one's the stand-up comedian?
Richie.
It's Richie. Eddie's the right. I think Eddie's the one that is grabbed by Pennywise, and
No, Mike is first.
right. Mike is for they have an entire. This is the climax of the movie. Like they're having this battle with Pennywise, and ultimately,
He's forced to resort to his last weapon.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So these you mentioned in the true form, he has these very long and sharp.
His true form again. His true form
Claws
is
for
is the
hands.
deadlights.
Sure. Is spider form.
But this final form,
final
spider form.
Final form. And he just runs Eddie across with his arm, with his spike.
But what he does is he grabs Mike with a long and the noodly arm.
Mm-hmm.
Richie shows up, throws a rock, and starts like, "We want to play truth or dare," like a callback to his previous taunt.
Yes.
And when he's finally saying something, or is when he's going to say something, just Pennywise hits him with the deadlights, and he just immediately gets dumped down, like
Yeah,
like you unplug this brain.
Yep.
He starts floating, and Eddie realizes that the deadlights are casting. They're outside of Pennywise, but they're the ones casting the spell or enchanting. Richie.
they're casting the spell on Richie. They're probably going to either kill him or turn him into a puppet of his.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so he has to stop this.
Yeah, he grabs the spear that Beverly brought from the outside. Mm-hmm. Not a spear, but the fencing that looks like a part of a fence that looks like a spear. Mm-hmm. Throws it at it. He lets go of Richie.
Mm-hmm.
And that is when that happens. You were saying
when Eddie is run through. I remember like Ben was like very victorious or whatever, thinking
thinking that they had won.
I did it, and then no,
stab.
Yeah, but then Eddie, as he's dying, ultimately he explains how he made it feel small. He made it smaller when he was choking the leper. There was something like he felt like he could, like that was the thing. He wasn't afraid. If he wasn't afraid, then it was weaker. And so they this is when they realize that they have to bully Pennywise, and that's how you win.
What does he say? All living things must abide by the laws of the shape they inhabit. That's what Mike remembers from the ritual.
Right.
That's the secret to the ritual.
Yep. And so they start name calling Pennywise, making him just insulting him, just calling him clown, and yep. And Pennywise starts getting smaller and smaller and shrinking, and just losing his form. At the end, he has this kind of deflated, baby-looking face. It's kind of cute, and also sad, and yeah, because he's weak, and it's like I get him, like like they're being mean to him, and I think it's Mike who like reaches out and grabs his heart because we can hear his heart beating.
I just before you mentioned that, I just want to say that as they are just calling him clown, you're just a clown. He's like, no, I'm an eater of worlds. I am the eater of worlds.
Yep.
I feel sad. I actually feel sad.
No, you're right. You're right. It's sad.
For Pennywise here, but
anyway, they grab his heart and they just squish it, and that's the end of Pennywise. Rest in peace. is. Oh
It's
yeah,
actually really sad to see it though,
yeah,
because he's just hungry.
yeah. It's like he was just trying to eat. You're right. Not to mention, like you've it's a creature that is older than.
Yes, yeah, and his and you just say that, and his parting words are, "Look at you, you're all grown up."
Yeah.
And yeah, with that, he just breaks and floats away.
Then they go get right, because they go back to Eddie, but Eddie is dead. And then the entire thing starts imploding. Like the entire cave, everything around him just starts crumbling down. They have to leave. They're running from it. Richie's still like he's not
He wants to bring
he wants to bring
Eddie.
Eddie back, right? But
Mhm.
well, he's dead. You can't bring him back. And so yeah, and the entire house is collapses. Then this is the aftermath. It's the losers trying to just compose themselves and processing everything that just happened. I remember there's this.
They go
Yeah.
they go jump in the creek,
Yep, indeed.
as they did as kids. Same thing they did when
Hmm.
it happened the first time.
Yeah, it's interesting the detail that they notice the scars in their hands have disappeared
Mhm.
from the ritual the blood bond they had done.
You know, from the.
The what?
Never mind.
There's a scene in which they're right, because at some point they get the posthumous letter, basically the suicide letter that Stanley had written, and this is being read while we see a montage of what each loser ends up doing. Ben and Beverly get together because I guess it was destiny. And it's revealed, well, obviously that Richie has had a crush on Eddie for the longest time.
Ever since, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a secret.
That was a
by the way.
secret. There's a scene in which they are looking the glass window of a shop and they see their reflection as kids, and Stanley is there.
You'll always be a loser.
Yeah, and that's how the movie ends. Don't think there's anything else, right?
Yeah, it ends in a shot of "we're losers, we'll always be," something that touches us here at the Grymm Mansion very close to our hearts, with a shot of Mike driving around Derry.
That is it.
That is it.
That is it.
Chapter 2.
All right. So that was a lot.
Yeah.
What analysis do we have that we haven't said before?
Well, it's essentially more of the same. In the taking the whole thing, I think that's what we should do, is to take this whole piece as one piece, not look at one movie, but look at both and analyze what they mean in a larger context. So, if we remove the supernatural aspects of the movie, what we have is a story about a group of kids who suffer from a
Traumatic
severe
experience.
form. Yeah, they have a collective traumatic experience, and 27 years later, they must deal with that traumatic event that they thought it was behind them, but comes back to haunt you. You can't outrun your past.
You have the first movie was, well, a coming of age story, and this one is sort of like the opposite. Sort of like you can grow up, but your child self is always there. You can forget about it, but it's still there, and it's going to come up later.
We are definitely molded way more by our early years than most people give credit.
Indeed. Well, it's that's what being a child is you're forming yourself. And adults like to forget because, well, they have their jobs and they have their responsibilities. It's easier to forget.
Definitely easier. Can you imagine what it's like to remember everything? It must be it must be suffering, really. Like if you must be thinking of nothing else.
Right.
No. Yeah, that is you nailed it. That's pretty much it. Wrap up, go home.
I mean, yeah, there's not. We've said a lot of things in the previous episode. In the,
And even throughout this one. But I think that even taking it as a larger context, with a larger context of Stephen King's work, it brings a lot of stuff that it is later used as part of his Dark Tower series.
Mhm.
Like the characters of Maturin and Pennywise. Maturin is much more important, the turtle, as the protector of the beam that holds Earth. I'm not sure. Something like that. But in itself, yeah, it's a movie about unresolved issues, trauma. And now it comes to bite you back. Yeah.
As a movie, from the cinematography standpoint, would you prefer would you like this one more than the previous one?
You mean then chapter 1?
Yes.
Um,
How would you compare the two?
they're sorry, you were talking about in terms of cinematography?
Yes, in terms of
And
as a
in-
movie, as a whole.
I think there's cohesion throughout the two of them. If they weren't shot back to back, I feel like it must have been the same crew that operated on both movies.
Mhm.
It would make much more sense
Yeah.
to do something like that. And it shows because you cannot watch the first one and still get this one. It's like a full movie because
Sure.
of all the flashbacks. If I recall correctly, the first movie is like an hour and a half, right?
2 hours, 15 minutes.
15. Okay, because this one it almost reached 3 hours of movie.
Yep, it's very long. But yeah, the movie is way too long in my opinion. It doesn't make sense to be this long. I think
It does. And
Mm,
I will only argue, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I will only argue because if you would want to take this as a single movie, you can. As I was saying, you don't need to watch the first one to understand what's going. It certainly helps, but you don't need it.
well,
And I think
then that doesn't
that kind of
just,
justifies it.
but doesn't that just take away from the original? Like you're, it's like freebooting the original. It's like stealing ideas from the original and
Stealing ideas. I mean,
not stealing
they're the
ideas.
same.
What I mean is
Can they really be applied?
what I mean is if you're telling the same story as the first movie, or should I say, if half of the movie is recapping the previous movie, doesn't that just make the previous movie kind of pointless? That's what I mean. It feels like it's
I
just
do understand you. Yeah.
yeah, it's like
But that was probably something executives felt that would be a good
yeah.
decision.
I feel like
know?
you could edit out a bunch of scenes. The flashbacks, for example. I mean, they're entertaining. Don't get me wrong, but it feels like it just isn't necessary for the movie to work.
I think some of them should be there. Probably not as many as they were. For example, Ben's was kind of unnecessary because he had his token with him the entire time.
Indeed.
Whereas I liked the fact that they included Richie's. It was important. Apparently, to him, there's fear that his secret would one day be discovered
Mm-hmm.
because of all the,
Yes.
of the reaction that they had when he was a kid.
Yes, yeah. No, there are some that make sense. But in general, I feel like the movie drags a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, perhaps a little bit. I can.
They
agree with you.
just yeah, and also a lot of, for example, Henry Bowers. That felt kind of meh. Like he was going to kill the right. Like Pennywise was essentially recruiting him again, but it's just the same thing again. It's like he's just doing the same thing that he did previous movie just because it's supposed to do that. I don't know. Because in the previous movie he had a motive. I guess, which was kill his dad because it was an abusive dad. So I feel like it made more sense in the previous movie, and in this one, it's like, oh, he's insane, and that's it. That's like kind of
Yeah, the scene where he is picked up by the officers and where he's screaming that he needs to kill them all does not appear in the first movie. So even the opening shot where Beverly has the vision, it was later added. I feel like
I don't know.
yeah, if you had taken some of the stuff that you put in this one and maybe put into the first one.
No, you don't need to touch the
make
first one. You don't need to touch the first one. In my opinion, I think the first one
No,
is
I'm not saying include everything, but stuff like, for example, Beverly mentioning the vision. She never did.
yeah. That's a good one. Yes,
For example, you know.
and that could be like a short line of dialogue as well. You don't need much.
Yeah, it was something so short, and you would have cut the entire flashback scene.
Yep, indeed.
You know,
Uh,
little stuff like that. I think that the first one is better in that regard.
yes.
Yeah.
No,
Convinced
I
enough.
do like the first one better, and also the ending sucked. Come on, like killing Pennywise, really? And it was that easy. Just bully him.
Yeah,
So
you know.
sad. So sad.
Whenever we get to eldritch creatures, it's always the same.
Yeah, but it's like this is the Deadlights. This is a creature. This is an entity that has been here, but yeah, it's what I'm saying. Like it was lampshading of Stephen King to say that line in the movie because that's what he's expecting people to say as well about this one.
Yeah, the ending sucked. Yeah.
In fact, I feel like he was parodying someone or like the
Himself again. I feel like this was about himself. This was something that
that's what I'm
happened to
saying.
him.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's secretly talking about himself. Yes.
Mhm.
He's talking to Bill as if he was talking to himself, which is really funny. I like that. I appreciate that. But yeah, we left out a couple of things. I don't remember what it was from last night. We had things to talk about. The Pennywise. I didn't, because we had already we had talked about Pennywise as as an entity. I don't remember if we left anything out. Because that's the thing with sequels is a lot of like, you can say a lot more about the first movie than you can say about the others usually. Because
Yeah, I mean,
they
the
repeat.
building blocks are already there. It's
Yeah.
like you're
They repeat the same things. So
in this case, very literally,
yep, indeed. So is that it? Anything else?
pun intended.
Pun intended.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, by all accounts, it's not bad.
It's not a bad movie. No, I wouldn't consider. And the acting was pretty good. I enjoyed the actors they picked. I think they worked pretty well for the roles.
Just can't exactly ask a big Hollywood studio to kill all its characters, or I mean, that's not even the ending to the book, you know, but or having them all descend to madness. You know, the happy ending was good enough for what the story tried to tell.
Right. And they were trying to be faithful to the book as well, so can't do much about that. But yeah.
I still very much prefer the 90s version.
the TV series.
Yes.
It's different.
Tim Curry has a very
It's
special
different.
place in my heart.
I don't have as much of an attachment to the TV version as you do. Because I personally, I like the effects. I like the technical.
No, I understand.
As
I
a
understand.
movie, these are better. I enjoy them, and not to mention these are told in a sequential, in chronological order, as opposed to the TV miniseries, which is told in, well, it's the TV miniseries is more similar to this chapter 2
Yeah, it goes there's a lot of
Yes.
back and forth.
And to me, that's confusing. I like things to be in
Um,
order. I don't. Flashbacks is something that I'm not a huge fan of in movies. It's kind of
Yeah, we know that you are extremely ordered, and then that I'm the chaotic one here. It's just it comes down to preference, really.
no,
They're essentially the same story.
indeed.
Anyway, as a whole, what is your final?
Oh, you mean like this one and the previous one, or just this one?
No, if you want to give it as a if you want to go one by one.
I prefer
Right,
just.
so-
I'm gonna rate this movie. So it chapter 2.
okay.
I'm gonna rate it 6 boats out of 10 fortune cookies.
6.5. I have no idea who started last
It doesn't have to be the
time's
same person.
ritual.
If you wanna go for it, go for it.
Go ahead, be my guest.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that being said, the candles are out, circles have been erased, and we will let silence reign again. The Grymm Mansion is closing its gates. Have a horrible night, and until we meet again.
Bye bye.